All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. April 11th, we got a jam-packed slate of MLB games. We're going to jump into each and every game like we always do. I'll give you my lean on the game. We'll talk about it. We'll go through it, but my final plays, what I'm actually going to be rolling with, will be in the pinned comments. Speaking of final plays, last night wasn't the best night. We go 4 and 5. Now, I will say 2 of those losses were the Reds and the Royals moneyline plays. Those were half-unit losses. So in terms of a unit play there, we go 4 and 4, just a little off the top, but we do not make profit last night. And usually I don't have this much of a volume when it comes to plays, but yesterday I felt like I was seeing the board clearly in. We were just kind of average, right? Like again, 4 and 5 with the half unit plays, meaning, and I guess I could say this, if you guys don't know what units are, technically, say you usually put 10 bucks or 20 bucks or 100 bucks on a game. That's your standard play size, right? That is your unit. Everyone's unit is different. So my unit, right? That's what I normally put on games. A half unit is pretty much like, say someone puts 10 bucks on a game, they're just putting 5 on this one, half of what they normally would, just to make that clear. But yeah, again, not the best night, just a pretty average night there. Looks bad because of all the X's, but 2 half unit plays equal 1. But yeah, let's bounce back tonight. A lot of hate comments in yesterday's video, and to that I say, Thank you for your interaction and your engagement, guys. But yeah, let's jump into today's slate. Before we do, I do want to talk about a couple things. We had a couple new Fade Me shirts live on the Guy Boston Sports Store. Use that link in the description or in the pinned comment. We do have a baseball one as well. This is the basketball one, guys. Super comfortable. It's kind of that oversized fit, that sort of rusticy, already pre-washed look. I do really enjoy it. Samples just came in yesterday, so make sure to go check that out. And also, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. What are you waiting for? Like this video as well. You guys ran up the likes on yesterday's video. Guess how many likes you got? You're not gonna be able to guess, but 269 nice likes yesterday on the video. Let's see if we can get 200 plus again on today's. Let's jump right into it. We got the Guardians taking on the Yankees here. Guardians plus 150 at home. Total is sitting at 8 runs. Yesterday, Cleveland cleaned up 3-2 in this one. I was kind of surprised by that, but they got to Herman right away. So I do like the Guardians here for the money. I think the Yankees ultimately win this game, but their money line is minus 166. So I'm not totally entertaining that. I also don't like the money on the run line, so I am going to lean Guardians here plus the 150 plus here. In terms of a total, I think this one actually ultimately ends up going over. I know yesterday's game was under, but I could see this one actually going and reaching that over. They have two better pitchers on the mound, so I don't want to ignore the fact that Gaddis is on the mound for the Guardians and Cole is on the mound for the Yankees, but I can't see these two offenses being dormant for 2 games in a row like that. The game before this game, Cleveland scored 7 runs, Yankees scored 5 in their last game of the last series, so I do think that there's a couple more runs today. Call me crazy with 2 good pitchers on the mound, and I'm calling it over, but that is what we're looking at. Moving on, we got the Orioles taking on the Athletics here. Orioles minus 190 money line at home. Total is sitting at 8.5. I've also seen 8 on some sportsbooks, so if you are on the over, you might want to search out for that 8. The run line here for Baltimore is plus 115, and that is ultimately what I'm going to look at. We've seen that this Oakland team is absolute trash. They just are. And this Baltimore team, it's not like this Baltimore team is absolutely, amazingly good, but we've just seen that this Oakland team cannot compete with a lot of teams. So I'm going to lean Baltimore here on the run line. In terms of a total, again, it says 8.5 on the graphic. That's what most sportsbooks have it at, but I've seen plenty of 8s out there. I am going to lean towards the under simply because I don't think Oakland can carry their weight. Now, do they go out and do that today? Yes, I'm not a Nostradamus predicting the future. I just like my predictions more than I don't like them, right? So I do think that this one sticks under the number here. All right, Pittsburgh hosting the Astros here. That was one of our plays yesterday. Does not come through. We had Pittsburgh money line. The Astros look pretty good. Keller on the mound for the Pirates today and Javier on the mound for the Stros. Right now, Pittsburgh plus 165 on the money line. Total sitting at 8 runs. Again, Houston took it to him yesterday, 8-2. I imagine something similar happens like that today. So I'm going to lean towards Houston, but not necessarily the money line. That really just isn't good odds here. On the money line here, Houston's minus 170 on plenty of sportsbooks out there. So I am going to take a peek at the run line, minus 1.5, but it's only minus 111, which I don't totally love. So I might stick away from this game on a side perspective, but what I do like is the over here. I think that this one is going to go over the number. Again, 8 is the line as of right now. Yesterday they had 10 runs. Houston did, carry most of that burden, but Pittsburgh came out with 2 runs, and we've seen Pittsburgh in their last few games here have plenty of high-scoring games, whether they're letting up a lot of runs or they've scored a decent amount of runs, at least half of 8, right? So 4+. So I'm going to lean towards the over here predominantly, and that's going to be my more, strong lean on this game. I also lean Houston money line / run line, but I don't love the money that you're getting for what we have to put in. All right, moving on, we have Miami playing Philly here. Philly -139 at home here on the money line. Total is sitting at 7.5. This Miami team is trotting out Luzardo, who has a .71 ERA and 1-0 on the season. Nola on the mound for the Phillies. He's 0-1 with a 7.45 ERA. I think this is a true value play here on Miami, plus money on the road here. Yes, yesterday I think is inflating this line. Phillies won 15-3. 15-3. They had 20 hits. Can you say it with me? 20 stinking hits there. I do think that this one kind of flips on its back here. I don't want to overreact to the Phillies here winning a few games and looking better than they started. They've won, 3 out of the last 4 of the last 6 games, but they're playing Cincinnati and Miami here. I do think that this is a spot for Miami, strictly from a pitching perspective, so I think that there's value in taking them money line here. And then in terms of a total, I have no reason to not think this would go over. We saw it yesterday. Even Miami scored 3 runs, which isn't all that much for a 7.5 total, though. That seems like it's a decent amount in terms of percentage covered of that total. So I am going to lean towards the over in this one as well. Then we have the Rays taking on the Red Sox. That was one of our wins yesterday. Red Sox run line. The odds are very similar to that right now. Red Sox run line +1.5 is -135, but I do not want to get greedy here. That was the first game all season long that the Tampa Bay Rays won by less than 2 runs. So I am kind of sticking away from that. I think the Rays win this game again. I'm not sure about by how much. Whitlock on the mound for the Red Sox. It's not like I'm overwhelmed with his play. And then McClanahan on the mound for the Rays, who I have liked this season, 2-0 with a 1.5 ERA. If anything, this is just a slight lean towards Tampa Bay money line, but the odds are so bad. I know the graphic isn't updated. We screenshotted that a while ago, but it is -175 average right now, which just isn't really worth it. In terms of total, 7.5, I think another strong overreaction to what happened yesterday. I like the over in this game as well. Again, I do think that that is a strong overreaction to the game that transpired yesterday. Then we have Toronto taking on the Tigers here. Toronto, 6-4 on the season. Manoah on the mound for them. He's 1-0 with a 4.3 ERA. Tigers 2-7 with Manning on the mound here. He's 1-0 with a 3.1 ERA. I can't trust this Tigers team. That being said, I don't fully back Toronto as of right now, but I will say my lean is going to be Toronto money line. Even though that is such bad odds, I don't think it's going to be a play. But I did look at Toronto run line, right? And it's -137. I don't see the value there either. So I am just going to lean Toronto in terms of a win here. If this does become a final play, it's really not much of a return on investment. -260 plus, -275 on plenty of books. Not really loving that. In terms of a total, 8.5 is what most sportsbooks have, but I've seen plenty of 9s out there as well. I do like the under in this game ever so slightly. All right, Mets taking on the Padres here. We had the over in this game yesterday. That does not come through, but the Mets here, -140 at home. Total is sitting at 9 runs. Yesterday, the score was 5-0. The Padres bats that had been kind of hot did not get it done. Again, they scored 5, 6, 6, 5, 4, 10, and then 0 run. So I don't think that that is the norm for them. Obviously, Max Scherzer was on the mound there, so he probably had something to do with it if I had to guess. But I do think that this game is one that the Padres kind of come back out and play a little bit better here. And does that mean that I'm taking the Padres? No, I still do like the Mets in this situation, but I do think that this one has a few more runs in it. Now, I will be honest, they bumped up that line from 7.5 yesterday to 8.5 or 9, depending on where you're getting it today, right? So I do still think that this one could stick around that 7 to 8 line, which does mean that I very slightly lean towards the under here. But again, I'm going to lean towards the Mets. I don't necessarily think that this would be a crazy pick to go with the Padres. Getting +130 odds on sportsbooks here, I don't think that that's a bad spot for them either. So if that is what you are thinking, don't take what I'm saying right now. And I'm just being honest with you guys. Don't take what I'm saying right now and turn you off of a Padres pick. I don't hate that pick at all. All right, the Braves are taking on the Reds here. Cincinnati 4-5 in the season. Sessa on the mound for them today. Right on the mound for the Braves. They're 7-4. Yesterday we did have the Reds money line for plus like 170. That was one of the half unit plays. They almost got the job done. They only lost by 1 run. I think they were winning in the top of the first, which was like the only time they were winning, if I'm not mistaken here. But this is a play right now that I do think you have to look at Braves run line. I don't think the multiple games in this series are going to stay close. So I hate the money that you're paying minus 120 on the minus 1.5 run line for the Braves, but I do lean towards them today. In terms of a total, we're looking at a total of 9. Again, it's missing from the graphic, but hopefully you guys are following along. I do think that this is one that sticks under ever so slightly. I could see this being, a 5-3 game, which is very, very close to that line, but I'm going to lean towards the under there for sure. All right, Minnesota taking on the White Sox here. Minnesota minus 149 at home. Total is at 7.5 run. Yesterday's game here, Chicago won that one 4-3, which I was kind of surprised by. On the mound is Lopez for the Twins. He's 1-0 this season with a .7 ERA. Lance Lynn on the mound for the Sox, 0-1 on the season with a 9 ERA. Obviously, it's still early in the year, guys. I wouldn't put too much weight into some of these, win-losses or their ERAs, but they are worth noting. So hopefully you guys do appreciate that. In their last few games here, Chicago's been up and down. Lost, win, lost, win. Same thing with Minnesota, though. Only they're winning chunks at a time and then losing chunks at a time. I think they get back in the winner's circle today. Again, minus 149 isn't something that I want to pay, but I do think that is probably the play here. I don't think that run line is in the cards for them today. Again, minus 1.5 is going to be plus 145. That's great money, but I don't want to wait out a 2-run win for Minnesota when I'm not even sure they can definitely win the game in the first place. So I might pay that juice at minus 149 for Minnesota money line here. And then in terms of a total, again, it's 8 or 7.5, depending on what you're seeing on your sports books here. But I think either way, this game goes over. All right, we got the Cubs taking on the Mariners here. Cubs minus 103 at home. The total is 9.5. Yesterday, this Mariners team takes the L. Chicago wins 3-2. I think that Chicago is sort of a wagon as of right now, which is kind of crazy because they're 5-4, but it just seems like games when you don't think they're going to win, they're going to win. So maybe that isn't the word I should be looking for when I say wagon. We've won plenty of money from the Cubs money line this season, but Flexen on the mound for the Mariners here, and then Wozniacki on the mound for the Cubs. I don't really love either side of this. In fact, Vegas has Seattle on the road minus 101, and then Chicago, like I said, minus 103 here on the money line. So both these teams, kind of in terms of Vegas's projections, have the fair shot at winning this game. I'm just going to slightly lean towards the home team, but what I do like is the over here. Yes, it's kind of high at 9.5, but there is 12-mile-an-hour winds blowing directly out to right field there at Wrigley. So I do like the over in this game as well. The Seattle team, I just can't truly trust as of right now. Not that the Chicago team hasn't let us down, because I think we're probably 3-1 to their money line when we've bet them this season, which is good, but we have had a couple downfalls, or one downfall, I should say. But that really shouldn't impact betting, right? Like my loyalty to how much money you've made me on the year. Who are we kidding? Yeah, there's loyalty in betting, but I will say, I'm just all seriousness here, betting the Cubs here probably minus money line, minus 109 on the money line, and then in terms of a total, I do like the over. All right, we got Texas taking on Kansas City. Texas minus 250 at home. Total sitting at 8 runs right now. Yesterday, Texas won 11-2. I would consider Texas team total if you are into team totals. That's definitely something that I might throw in the pinned comments, so keep an eye on that. Lyles on the mound for the Royals. He's 0-2 with a 4.9 ERA, and then DeGrom on the mound, 1-0 with a 5.59 ERA. I think that the only play here that is worth it would be Texas run line. Obviously, especially after yesterday, but now with DeGrom on the mound, the only issue I have with it is that it's minus 132 right now, which is a little bit too much juice to be paying for a run line play for me. So we'll see if I stick away from that or jump into it, but I do also like the over in this game, not because I think the Royals are going to score a lot of runs. It's not because I think, DeGrom's not going to pitch well or yada, yada, yada. No, it's because I think this Texas team can legit score double digits anytime they want. So we'll see if that happens today. I am going to lean towards the over there, the over 8 runs. Colorado taking on St. Louis. Colorado here at home, plus 152. Total is at 11.5 runs, but we understand why. Yesterday they scored 11 runs, so the over does not cash. It actually hits the under, but still plenty of runs scored in this game. I think that this is going to be a spot for, again, Rockies at home. That's good money, plus 149. I don't really love the total. I'm probably going to lean towards the under. I wouldn't be surprised if it does go over. Another one of those plays where don't take that as a, oh, well, Ev says this, so it's not going to happen. No. It could totally totally go over. I don't want to really dismiss that mindset, but what I do like is plus 150 here for plus 152 for the Rockies at home. I do like Kyle Freeman on the mound for them, 0.0 ERA, which is impressive, 2-0 on the season, going up against Mikolas, who has a 9.64 ERA. Give me the Rockies at home. I do like that play for some serious plus money. And then, like I said, the under. All right, last 3 games on the slate. Before we do, if you're still sticking around, what are you doing? Hit that damn subscribe button. Hit that like button, guys. Drop me a comment. Let me know that you're still watching at this minute mark. Just drop the 15 minutes. Say 15 minute in the comment if you guys are watching, or 15 or something like that. Let me know that you guys are still watching at this time. But now we're looking at the Angels taking on the Nationals. This is one of our cashes from yesterday here. We did have the over, and Washington wins this game 6-4. I like the over again in this game, 8.5 here. Gray on the mound for the Nationals and Shohei Ohtani on the mound for the Angels. Obviously, you never want to look at it over with a strikeout machine like Ohtani, but I still do think 8.5 runs is definitely gettable, and I'm going to lean towards Angels here, -1.5 for -140 at home. I just don't think that whenever he's on the mound, you can't really look the other way, so I don't want to lean against him, if that makes sense. It's just a smart lean. Whether or not it becomes a final play, that'll be where I truly analyze it and say, is -140 worth it? It probably isn't, so it might not become a final play, but that is going to be my lean. All right, Diamondbacks taking on the Brewers. This was a letdown yesterday. I totally thought this was a Brewers spot. It was a plus money play. They're plus 130. I took them for a full unit on the money line. They lose 0-3. I can't imagine that happening again. I was very excited to jump on the Brewers wagon again, but now they're -127. I don't totally love that. What I might look at is Brewers run line here, -1.5 for plus 125. I love the plus money there. They have Burns on the mound, and then Diamondbacks have Kelly on the mound here. I think this one actually sticks towards the under as well, which is kind of one of the only thing that's keeping me potentially away from the run line. I don't know about you guys, but I don't like taking run lines and then unders, because it means there's not a lot of wiggle room for runs to be scored to win by 2 runs. Does that make sense? Maybe that's just my brain, but that is kind of the conflict that I have going in right now. But I do lean Brewers, obviously money line, but then also run line in terms of money, and then in terms of a total, I do look at the under. And last but not least, this is also a game that hit for us yesterday with the Giants taking on the Dodgers. Total is at 8 runs right now. Giants are plus 140 here at home. On the mound for the Dodgers, we have Dustin May, who is 1-0 with a .69 ERA, and then Alex Wood, who he has a 3 ERA on the mound for San Francisco. There again, yesterday, Dodgers pretty much carried this the whole way, 9-1. I think that they go out in there and do that again. They're -161. I'm kind of surprised at that. I would have thought they would be closer to the -200. So as much as that is a lot of juice to pay, I do think that that is some value there for Dodgers -161. I don't love their run line odds there. It's about even plus 102 right now. So I'm going to look at Dodgers here -160 on the money line. I wish that it was better. Don't get me wrong, but I'm kind of shocked that it is where it is. So I think that there's a little bit of a value there, or identified value on my end. And then in terms of a total, I could see this one going over yet again. I think this LA team at least has 5 to 6 runs in them, meaning all the Giants have to do is carry a little bit of weight, score 2 to 3 runs to either push or win that one. But that is all I have for you guys today. Hope you guys do enjoy the video, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. All right, peace out.